Hello, welcome to the Cyber's Realities or something. Hi, my name is Rich. I use the he, him pronouns, and you're watching my YouTube channel where I play amazing tabletop role playing games with friends. This is a one shot. It was going to be a two shot, but Rich had scheduling problems. So, one shot it is of a game called Broken Binary. Broken Binary is a game you can find on Drive Through RPG. It is pay what you want, if I remember correctly. It's a really neat encapsulation of Forged in the Dark styled games, or the Forged in the Dark mechanics seen from Blaze in the Dark and a number of other games like Galaxies in Perils, the first Forged in the Dark game I could think of off the top of my head, and a bunch of others that I know exist. And I could maybe look over here and remember one or two. Oh, I'm doing a bad job now. Yeah, got Blaze in the Dark and Galaxies in Peril. That's what's on the shelf. Everything else is in PDF. I'll keep going. This is set in Star Wars because it's part of Star Wars Saturdays, which is an ongoing anthology campaign that I run for the Open Hearth community, where every month or so, sometimes I do it for 2 months, that's why I say or so, or sometimes I do it for 2 weeks, which was the plan this month. I choose a different RPG, reskin it, remix it, maybe hack it if I have to, so that we can gather together, members of the Open Hearth community, and tell a story set in the bountiful setting of Star Wars. I don't like to say set and setting, but I started there and I couldn't change the word. Regardless, it's lots of Star Wars. Now, you might say, what's the timeline? Is it High Republic, Old Republic, Star Wars movie settings? And where we've nestled in is generally inspired by the media that is official canon, meaning after the first death, official death, end of Return of the Jedi, death of Emperor Palpatine, where the New Republic is rising, but there is still a large Imperial remnant. And then borrowing from the books, Warlord Zinj is the main figurehead of the Imperial resistance, as it were. And there's an entire area called Zinj's Empire. And that's where this game will be set, nestled right in the jewel of Zinj's Empire. A planet called Sereno, which he claims is his home. Official Imperial records do dispute that, but it's his home planet. And then the capital city, I know, Star Wars, you'd expect it to be Sereno City, but you'd be wrong. It's Karania City, is the most cyberpunky setting that I've used in Star Wars Saturdays. Why? Because I just thought it'd be cool. I don't know if there's any official canon about how cyberpunky Karania City is. I've borrowed liberally from a number of cyberpunk supplements to prop up the idea of Karania City, but in my head canon, Warlord Zinj and the Empire, they ostensibly control Karania City, but it's more of a fiefdom that's under the auspices of the mega corporations, so that we can have some cyberpunk fun. So sure, an occasional stormtrooper will be present, but really it's all about corporate security forces, which Broken Binary is about. So Broken Binary is, as I said, a Forged in the Dark game inspired by media like Altered Carbon, primarily Ghost in the Shell, Ergo Proxy, Blame, and of course Netrunner, Blade Runner, etc. Very, very cyberpunk. But some of the themes of the game that are important for our one shot are the ideas of what separates machine from man. Are your memories still yours? Have we gone too far? Who's really in control? Those are the things that inform this. And the idea of the PCs is that they are highly skilled, as we have with our Force of the Dark looked at the amount of points you get to distribute to your actions, highly skilled at number of actions. And the other cool bit is that each player gets to define exactly how cyborg they are. Are you truly more machine than man? And we have one person in our midst amongst the team who is very cyborg. If you look at the pictures that are being displayed right now, you might be able to guess, but I have chosen for them that their security team are an attaché working for Kitsune Media Group. You might say, what's a kitsune in Star Wars? Well, it's like a fox, like it is in, Japan. Don't worry about that. It's fine. There are lots of English and foreign words that are pushed into Star Wars. I'll see you in hell. See, is there a hell in Star Wars? Obviously, Han Solo said it. Are there kitsune in Star Wars? Obviously, Rich just said it. There we go. Let's put that to rest. Kitsune Media Corp produces almost all of the holonet entertainment in Karania City. Of course, there are, side-loaded other streams of holonet entertainment, but Kitsune is the official arbiter of entertainment in Karania City. They produce the ever popular Zaz videos, and they manage the best musical talent in the city. And Kitsune's much loved smiling fox face can be found everywhere. It's a favorite among the populace of Karania City. The corp owners, however, are pretty ruthless business people who aren't against, cold blooded murder if it means profit. So, what we're going to do is go around the horn and have each person introduce themselves and then tell us a bit about their security team member. And then the last thing that I want, so introduce yourself, tell us a bit about your character, and then tell us what's one aspect of working for Kitsune Media Group that appeals to your character, or a reason that they signed up, whether it actually came to pass or the recruiter was lying. That's really for you to determine. So you're going to get to determine a bit about Kitsune Media Group's corporate culture. Yeah, you didn't think on a Saturday morning slash afternoon based on your time zone you'd be talking about corporate culture and onboarding, but guess what? Got the bully pulpit suckers, so that's where we're going. Let's start with the person who made their character so far ahead of time. That would have to be Steven. Yeah, you read ahead, and I appreciate that. So you get to go first. If you could introduce yourself, tell us about your character, and tell a bit about Kitsune.
So my name is Steven. My pronouns are he, him. And today I'm playing D7, whose pronouns are she, her. She's very adamant about her pronouns. She was a decraniated. This is something that we saw in Solo from the Crimson Dawn uh, cartel. And certain members, they actually, I think it was Dr. Afra, did surgery and replaced the top part of their brain, the top part of their head, with just like a little Lobot section of computer, and they were used as servants and waiters and things like that. And after her liberation, so after the Empire fell, she was found, and the doctors did the best thing that they could, which was to implant a brain, a droid brain, on top of that, and on top of that, to kind of give her a more normal life. It was the best that they could do. And she's aware of things. She has deep-seated feelings. The base of her brain is still alive, still present and very driving, but she has no memories of like who she was. She doesn't even know her name. Um, and so she's searching to find out all of that stuff and asking a lot of questions. Often, if she wears a cowl or something and covers up everything, she's mistaken for a droid, so she can easily slip into places. Because a lot of droids are just ignored. And as far as Kitsune, she's working for Kitsune because they have a large presence of media that they produce. They also keep track of uh, people's preferences and all of that kind of stuff. And they have a file on her from before. And that file on her, she's working towards getting more and more information so that she can uh, find out more about herself, at least as much as what the corporation knows.
Oh my gosh. So Kitsune has all of the cookies about D7
Yeah.
that
They
D7
probably
wants
even
to.
know her name.
Oh wow! But they haven't released it to D7 yet. Haven't released it to her yet.
She has to earn it.
Oh, that's awesome. What reasons when D7 is asked for it? kind of reasons has the corporation given her about not releasing that information yet?
because of how valuable it is. She has a particular worth as a person and as an infiltrator, and they uh again, this is a transaction. They don't put out their media for free for everybody to watch. There's a paid payment to be had.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Thank you very much. That has told me so much about Kitsune and how it deals with employees. Let's move from the top down because I have the character keeper is stacked because that was the choice I made. I didn't want to go too far left and right. I wanted to be able to see more than one PC at once. And Andesh, you are next. If you could introduce yourself, tell us tell us about your character and tell us a bit about Kitsune.
Yeah, I'm Anders, he, him. I'm playing Monster Horizon, also known as Slinger. Um, he is, I think he's kind of a career security person for the company. He's he started out in a fairly low position, like 20 years ago. So he's just kept working. He got promoted. He got recruited to this special detail, and he's I think he's there more because of habit and they pay fairly well than anything else. He's also, his sister disappeared and he has to take care of his young niece. I think she's like 10 or something. And now he's kind of like, I have a stable, fairly secure job that I'm good at. I'm gonna stay here because I need to take care of her.
Uh, what does Maz know about his is a younger sister?
Yeah, yeah.
What does Maz know about his sister's disappearance? Was she in some kind of trouble before it happened? Was it
I
has he
think
found
he's
anything?
he. I think it happened fairly recently, and he's been like trying to dig into it a bit on his spare time. Um, I think he knows that she was involved with some person who she had a relationship with someone who was a bit shady, but he doesn't know if that person was involved with her disappearance or not. And I think that's someone that he can't lead on or do anything like that. It's someone important. Um, I'm not sure. Maybe it's someone in the corporation. That could be fun.
I like
Yeah,
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. That means he has to be kind of careful about how he's dealing with this. He can't like go around asking too many questions because he
Oh.
might get into trouble.
And what's something? So first of all, I apologize because I know names are like the hardest thing. They literally are. What's the sister's name and what's his niece's name? You don't have to
Ooh,
answer that right now if you need to think about
yeah,
it.
yeah. I need the name generator. So
Well, you know what? If you look at the names and species helper, I even added some names earlier this morning during my brief and scatterbrained prep. So it turns out that that paid off. Boom.
yeah, but I have the name generator right here.
Oh,
So
cool. So,
this the niece's name is Yesiana. I'll put that in the chat if I can find it. And the sister's name is
stick
let's
her
see.
in the NPCs. And then, Kasara, what's something identifiable or notable about Kasara? Something that either she was embarrassed of or proud of, or your Maz was proud of about her appearance.
I think I think she was an artist. I'm not sure what medium, some kind of visual. I think she did this like mixed like hologram music pieces that were, and she was doing quite well for herself. She wasn't like a huge famous artist, but she was like getting starting to become fairly she was fairly well known in like the right circles as someone who was on the way up.
Nice. Okay. That's really cool. Last question I have for you before we jump excitedly into our next and last member of the team. I noticed that among this crew, you have a rig of one. That means you are very, very lightly utilizing the copious amount of cybernetic enhancements and implants that are offered by Kitsune Media Group. Why is that?
I think Moz is I think he thinks of cybernetics as useful replacement when you lose your like physical the arm he has is because his arm got badly damaged, so he had to replace it. But he's not interested in like installing a bunch of cybernetics just to have them. It's he's fond of his body as it is, I guess. It's not that he finds cybernetics. Um, he doesn't dislike them, but it's more like I don't need them, so I don't get them. That sort of thing.
Okay. So
And
there
I
is,
think
you
also,
don't,
I think, yeah, sorry.
oh, no, it's okay.
I think maybe he doesn't like relying on tools too much, and I think he's seen like colleagues who get heavily invested in their cybernetics, and when they stop working, they're kind of they fail badly. So he prefers to keep himself sharp and use the cybernetics as little as possible.
It kind of reminds me of the, and I know you haven't seen Ghost in the Shell, I asked you that earlier, but Motoko Kusanagi, she talks about being why she added a team member who has almost no cybernetics, and her logic was very similar to what you just listed. I think that's really cool. If you over
But I think
specialize,
yeah. But I think that he does have some sort of like brain implant thing for information because I think that's kind of almost required to do the job. So he's not he still is in that situation that he even if I don't think he thinks about it, that he can't fully trust his memories and that
awesome. So I did say I just had that
your
one question. Oh,
sound disappeared, or maybe I just lost it.
hold on.
I can't hear anyone.
I can hear Rich. Rich, you seem fine.
Oh,
Anders, I can see you.
now I can hear you, Steven.
Okay.
Okay, woo! I was
And I
nervous.
can hear you as well. Yeah,
Okay, great.
just temporarily.
It's okay. I mean, I hope it's okay. So I said I had one more question and I meant it. However, I will inform you, Andesh, think about this question that I will invariably ask at some point later. Maz has been working for Kitson or working in this kind of place before the Empire came to rule. So think about how was this world different before the Empire's presence, where there were star destroyers in the horizons or in the skylines, and what was it better? Was it differently worse? That's a thing that I'm super interested in learning about, but not right now because now I'm moving over to our last member of the team. Cody, if you could introduce yourself and tell us about your character.
Yeah, how's it going? I'm Cody. I use the he, him pronouns. I'm playing Gom Denny. He uses he, him as well, aka Drydak. Garm, he used to be a janitor, but he signed up to work for this megacorp because, you know, well, all these megacorps, you got to work for somebody, and at least this megacorp, they made his favorite Holo videos, and so they're doing something that is providing joy, and so he thinks, well, that's good enough. I think for him, you know, you got to work for somebody. You always got to work for somebody. Might as be one who delivers some joy to people. He's pretty chromed up. His rig is 5. That's because Garm, he's not good at anything. He never was. He was never proficient in anything. He's not very intelligent. He's not very fast. He's not very strong. And so just to get the job, he had to kind of take the debt on from the company to get chromed up to a kind of baseline level of proficiency. So Garm, you know, he lives in the company dorms. He just has like a cot in one of the rooms, and he just works. That's all he does. He doesn't do much thinking. He doesn't have much personal joy in his life aside from the occasional Holo video. And you know, one day he'll pay off this debt, and maybe then he can get a promotion and do something bigger for the corp. But yeah, what are you gonna do? It's probably not in the cards.
What is he in his dreams? What does he dream? What kind of position does he dream of? Like, does he want to be some kind of big time music producer for?
I think he dreams. I think before the job, he dreamed of being in the music videos. He dreamed of being a star. But since he took the job and he's been so chromed up, he doesn't dream anymore.
Oh shit. Like he physically doesn't have dreams anymore?
Right.
Oh man, you just go into a rest state that's wild. Oh man, that's like a whole game right there. That's great. I love it. Amazing. So Garm stays in the company dormitories. I imagine they've got some kind of small arcology living area. I'm totally biting off of the idea of like the Google campus, right? So you live on the campus. They have a cafeteria. You're 5 rig, and one of the things it says in the scant PDF is that you have to eat specially designed food. That totally makes sense as to why you would only eat there. Do you taste food?
Yes, but Garm's never been a particularly sensed person. He doesn't particularly enjoy the senses of food. He's not a big eater. He's never liked ice cream or fizzy drinks. He kind of just gets on with it. He just, you gotta eat, so I guess I'll eat
fuel.
This.
It's just fuel.
Yeah. But not even with the intention of like, oh, I gotta fuel my body. It's just, well, you have to eat, so I'll eat this.
Wow. Man,
Garm is he's a very you know, kind of very simple, salt of the earth, stays in his lane, doesn't think too far or too much, in general kind of guy.
He's a perfect henchman. That's what he is.
He's almost a perfect henchman. Yep.
Oh, what makes him not a perfect henchman?
Well, it's his weakness, and that's as he ponders in the cot before the rest mode engages, he does have this quandary, which is that the only moral choice in an unjust galaxy is to be an outlaw. And he's not an outlaw. So that means what he's doing isn't moral. And that makes him feel bad before he falls asleep. When he wakes up, he's better. But every night he goes to bed feeling bad.
Oh my God, that's so tragic. Oh, that's awesome. Last question. Who among your peers, it could be the team, it could be an NPC, who does Garm talk with the most?
Ooh, I think that's interesting.
Thank you.
I wonder if he talks most with. Now, I guess I'll kind of pivot this question to Stephen and Anders. Do you guys think, you know, I kind of imagine Maz is pretty by the book and like business like, so Drydak probably tries to talk to him, but it's never really anything deep. It's just kind of like, hey, did you see the new video they put out? Or I heard we're going to get to do this on this job. You know, he tries to make conversation because he wants to have that closeness. And with D7, I wonder how chatty she is.
So D7 talks a lot, mostly asking questions. She's going to ask you a lot about like what you were before, what you remember, even being a kid. You know, what do you remember of being a kid? So yeah.
So in that case, I think yeah, D7 is who Garm talks to the most, and a lot of it is I don't know. He doesn't have answers for her almost ever. If D7 asks 100 questions in a day, Garm might be able to give us a sensible, good answer for 3 of them.
And I think that's kind of what D7 expects. We're like in that way. And you know, whenever you're like, I don't know, I reach over and I kind of hold your hand and tap it. I'm like, I understand.
Oh, that's sweet and also still tragic. Cool. So here's my thing that I'm assigning you, Cody,
Oh, good.
is that at some point in this one shot, I'm going to ask you to share with us. It may not be out loud to the other PCs, but with us, the players, that's all that really matters. A memory that Drydak has that he strongly suspects isn't real.
Mm.
And maybe why he suspects it's not real. Like, what has led him to believe that that was an implanted memory or altered. Cool?
Yep. Got it
Awesome.
already, I think.
Oh, I'm very happy to hear that. Sweet. We begin with a bit of action because it's Ghost in the Shell inspired, and that's how Ghost in the Shell rolls. So we will roll similarly. Your assignment, your mission is that the Lasai Kings is an undercity gang in Block 13. This undercity gang has a slicer named Boars Oblon. According to your records, he is a small-time slicer, but somehow he was able to brainjack one of Kitsune's licensed stars, and Boars took the ident construct of a star by the name of Kofuku. If you want to know a little bit about Kofuku, she's the Star Wars Madonna / Lady Gaga of Karania City. She has been a superstar for decades. She predates Empire. She's the longest Kitsune bankable star that they've ever had who's still active. Couple of years ago, maybe less, some of her songs, people were noticing glitches, and there was an entire subculture devoted to trying to decode the messages that they were convinced Kofuku was seeding into her songs. And then she disappeared for a couple of weeks, and the songs have gone back to, she just went back to the classics. She did a Taylor Swift. She like re-recorded a bunch of her top songs with new musical and no messages could be discerned whatsoever. It disappointed that subculture, but she made a hell of a lot more money because you guys know, especially Moz, this whole messages thing had the ISB looking into it. It was not a good look for Kitsune because it was overlapping when the Empire was making its hardest push to finalize running everything through the Megacorps. And Kitsune was very nervous about that. And then things got better. Kitsune went back to bank on Kofuku's classics, and everything settled down and people were happy again. So this is bad that this penny ante slicer has been able to effectively either clone or steal. Your mission isn't clear because that's not your That's not your deal. That's not what you do. Oh, someone put a YouTube link in here. Oh, neat. That is a cool thing. Got to serve somebody. I didn't even catch it till just now. I was probably been there for ages. So, Block 13, which is as defined in our Karania city, it is a metroplex. It has multiple 100+ story arcologies. Yes, I am just liberally lifting peach trees from the movie Dread 2012. No shame, because I steal from the best. Thank you very much. And we begin with an opening sequence of like zoom in on Karania City, passing through the neon soaked streets. It's raining because it's always raining in a cyberpunk setting. And the camera is heading towards these spires of what? Well, Maj, you tell me, the arcologies before they became Metroplex 13 and Block 13, was this something that was a hope for getting people affordable housing, or was it a project to move all the undesirables to one place so that they could, we just had one ghettoized place in Karania City?
I think it was marketed as the former, but it was actually the latter. So there were some people who moved there voluntarily because they thought it would be a better place than where they were currently living, but it did not turn out very well.
Nice. And then Garm, did you come from like the Metroplex from Block 13? Or do you have friends there? What's your connection to Metroplex 13?
Garm's connection to Metroplex 13 is, I think his memories at least tell him that he grew up in a place like this.
Oh, interesting. Are those memories that he suspects, or does he generally trust or not really think about enough to care?
He doesn't think too deep about most things.
Okay, cool. All right. I like it a lot. So we cut to an action sequence, as I promised before I asked a few questions. How is it that you guys, as a 3-person team, arrive at this at Block 13 and this Metroplex? Do you come in on a militarized flying vehicle of some kind, like a speeder, like a military speeder? Do you guys come in on speeder bikes, or do you just step out from the shadows? How is it? And I'll toss this one. Who feels like they're the team leader? It definitely doesn't feel like it's D7. It definitely doesn't feel like Garm. So it's got to be Maz, right? That's the process of elimination. The Maz, you're effectively the team leader. How do you guys arrive on the scene?
I think we show up in like an armored speeder, kind of like an enclosed vehicle. It's armored, but it is a speeder, so it can fly. It's not like an air speeder that will like zip through the sky, but it's still a speeder. And I think there's a driver who will stay with the vehicle and keep that secure. But and it opens up like a van. It's like a sliding door, and we're all in the back.
Nice. Okay, please look under the security team on NPCs, and you can just use the nickname that I threw on any of the 7. Who is your pilot for this armored speeder?
Ooh. Oh, I like the scout there. If that's or the security team NPCs, or do you want someone else?
Yep, that's exactly. That's a great pick. I like them all. So the scout pilot for your armored speeder. Awesome. And then Cody, I'm assigning you. Pick a name and just cover over the scout with that name whenever you have it. Okay.
Roger.
Sweet. So armored speeder. There are this being a metroplex. There's a roof. What am I going to say? Landing pad. There are also, because it is a full-on hundred plus story metroplex that has restaurants, stores. You can live your entire life in Block 13 and never leave. Never want to leave. Sorry, never want to leave. Never want to leave. So there are also small hangars for people who might come up with a speeder bike or a regular air speeder, park, go into some kind of place. So where is it, Moz, that you have Vinca or Eyes? Where do you have Eyes fly you guys in? Up top, somewhere in the middle, near some kind of commerce area, or just deliver you to the front door and then you walk inside?
I think it's the front door. Like this is an armored speeder. It doesn't go very high, so I think we have to stay fairly close to the ground.
I like it. I like it. You guys muscle out. We have a bit of fanfare music as you're coming out of the armored speeder. D7, what's your general attitude? Like, do you fade back and try to slide into the common populace, or do you arrive on the scene with Drydak and Maw's Horizon?
I try to slide in unnoticed. I think I have specifically I have pulled down the head of the cloak, but I have like a mask. It's sort of like a high turtleneck that comes up that kind of hides the human part of my face so that I'll blend in as a droid. I make my movements a little bit stilted. And I think during this process, I'm paying attention to the um, traffic that's going on, the cyber traffic, the wireless, keeping track for everyone else to feed them. This is the security route. This is what, this is where the alerts are, that kind of thing.
Nice. Nice. There's always a low rumble of traffic from Block 13 of people making calls to the security forces at Block 13. They're overworked because there's always petty crime. At current, the three of you, part of your packet of information that was squirted into your brains via your implants, is that there is a suspicion of a low-grade block war ongoing between multiple gangs. Among them is the Lasai Kings, which is your target. The Razor Girls and 66 Circle have shown interest in this particular area as well. So, three of you march in. Drydak, you're the big guy, right? Are you the one who kind of bulls ahead, or do you leave that to Maz?
I think Drydak is you can't have the leader, despite the name, lead. They have to be from a point of safety in the back. So yeah, Drydak goes in first. He's broad, he has a big jacket that goes down to the ground. He's up ahead. And I feel like he's probably already got his like scatter gun or his blaster out.
Nice. And there are a number of populists. This is, if you're thinking of Peach Trees from Dread, this is before they shut it down. So there is lots of traffic that's going in and out. As you step in, there's this area that's actually open up to the sky. In case folks want to see a visual rather than have Rich use words, it looks a little bit like this, where you can see just hundreds and hundreds of floors that lead up to scant amount of sunlight, but there's lots of neon to soak the concrete and duracrete areas where you are. A pair of security folks emblazoned with the security. I don't want to call this Peach Trees because I feel like that's too much biting, so let's name this particular building. Do we want to name it after a Star Warsy animal or a place? You know how sometimes low rent apartment buildings name themselves after a beautiful coastal city of some kind, or something like the Springs or the Hideaway. What do we want to name this particular building?
Royal Palace.
Oh man, the palace. That is the best. So you see a few palace guards. Oh, sorry. And just as a little bit of like corporate branding, you see anyone who knows about Naboo's royal stylings. There's a little bit of the Naboo royal guard affects that are hinted to in the royal guards as they approach. One of them has like an ear that's been cybernetically replaced. Oh, awesome! I'm so glad. Like, yay! We were both thinking Naboo. He says, I've been told that you guys are here from Kitsune.
Yes.
Great, great. Well, hey, we have a great working relationship with Kitsune. The Royal Guard, we are at your service for whatever information that you need. We are, however, in a high risk alert, so we are not able to accompany you on any of your work. And if you could please make sure that you adhere to the rules and regulations, which we will squirt your way for the. I'm sorry, I'm just going to keep using it. I'm going to use it. It's like I'm
That's what
making
it
fetch
is.
happen. It's happened. It's here. So the royal palace rules and regulations, we will share that with you. If you could please adhere to that. If not, then of course the corporate remunerations will be docked from your corporate accounts.
Hey, I don't need to listen to you. I don't think. Hey, Maz, is this the guy you need? Do you need to talk to him? I don't understand any of this. What he's saying.
I think this is when Moz steps forward. All business. We're just here to deal with the situation. If we need your help, we'll contact you. Otherwise, just don't get in our way.
Understood. And because I do actually enjoy the visuals of Naboo, the stylings of the palace guards here are these like brown leather looking things, and they do have these little funky ass helmets. So they will acquiesce, but I want to see if Moz you exude enough for them to not keep tabs on you. Like, do you instill that I'm a professional level of trust where they're like, okay, cool, let's not worry about these guys. Let's go deal with our other block war bullshit. So if you could, I want you to manipulate these guys. Oh goodness, that's not one of your best things. So, do you want to overclock a little bit to get yourself a second die?
Could you do that after the fact, right?
You certainly can.
Yeah. Then I'll just roll first, and we'll see how that goes.
All right, here we go. Rich is bringing up his view of the die roller.
That's a 3.
Okay.
No.
So a 3 is a failure. Do you want to overclock and get yourself another die?
So, if you
So-
don't mind, let me interrupt for just a second.
Of
Is there a
course.
way to assist in this?
That is a great question. And I think the answer is
Um,
no. I didn't see
Okay.
rules on helping.
It
I didn't see
says
that either. They were very brief. So,
Yeah. It says 3 to 5 is you do it, but something goes wrong, right? It's not a straight up failure. It's not like standard plays.
Let's see. So on a 6, say 3 to 5. Oh, it's 3 to 5. Oh, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. You do it plus something goes wrong. Awesome. So do you want to take that, or do you want to overclock
Yeah.
and try to?
I'm
don't
not
have
going
to.
to spend anything to try to get a 6. That seems uh, it seems a bit early in the game for that.
Okay, sounds good. So you do it. These guys look, but as you walk past and head to one of the turbo lifts, I'm imagining the turbo lifts are those that are like exposed, right? So you're seeing the middle space, and you're passing by a bunch of the floors as you guys head up. Man, I don't know what's going on with sound. It's really weird. I had that issue earlier, and it's just having some trouble. It's very bummer. It's just keeping contact with each other, and we'll pause if we need to. But I think the mixed success is that one of them inputs, and now they're tracking you via cams. They're just basically linking in and they're letting their droids do it, so they're not actively concentrating on it, but their ICS, internal computer systems, are tracking your movements for right now. So, D7, you seem to be the infiltrator. What's your plan on finding where in the royal palace the Lasai kings? Oh wow, I like this king's palace thing. I didn't even good stuff, guys. You guys are aces. I love it. How are you going to try to find where the Lasai kings have to be in charge?
Yeah, so I think that number one, I think that the residents of this building are referred to as royals, but it's a derogatory term. So it's like, oh yeah, those are royals, like they're street urchin kind of people. And I think that there's several different floors here where the Lasai Kings could be. And I think we're going to have to go methodically through each of them, trying to figure out which one is the floor that we want. So I think that I direct them back. I direct the rest of the team back towards like a service elevator, something that janitors would use because we might be a little bit more familiar with that. And then we'll head up, and I think we should work our way up from the lower floors that are candidates, simply because if we work our way up, then they'll have to come through us.
Nice, nice. I like that. So here's what I propose. Since this is a Forged in the Dark game, I'm always inclined to lean on the idea of clocks. I'm going to throw out a 4-tick clock to locate the Lasai Kings with your methods that you've defined. What you'll do is you can tell me actions you're taking to try to hunt them down, and those successes will add ticks. A 3 to 5 will add 1 tick. A 6 will add 2 ticks. A 1 to 2 means a failure, no ticks, and problems come your way. So I would like to see how Moz, because we know D7, directing you guys to go to, if you're going through a service entrance or a service elevator, it probably isn't overlooking the rest of the place. It's probably like enclosed in, a little rickety. The light flickers just a bit. Some of the buttons on the elevator to determine what floor to go aren't fully lit up. It smells a little bit like bleach covering or papering over some other smell that maybe you don't want to see come up on your HUD as to what it was or is. So, Maz, tell me, how are you going to try to find the Lasai Kings?
I'm not playing to my strength here, but I think
I admire that.
I think Maz, among his implants, maybe I define this as an implant then, he has a thing where he can get information about like the hotspots of disturbances in the building.
Does he have an implant that allows him to do this?
Yeah.
Nice. Love it. So this gives you an extra D, and also grants you it can grant you a special ability. For now, you're getting an extra D. What action are you trying to engage?
I think it's work the net, because
Boom.
this is
That's
like,
where I thought you were going. That totally is awesome.
Yeah. I'm just going to call it a hotspot locator for now.
Nice.
So now I'm rolling 2 dice, right?
You're rolling 2 dice.
And that's a 4.
Or it's a 4.
Good enough.
Cool. Good enough. Awesome. So I'm imagining from the visuals that you see this like vector-based, I'm buying a little Star Wars, like vector-based green set of hexes, and then you're able to see all the traffic that's going through. That is going to mark one of the ticks, so you guys have 1 tick towards the 4. And you are able to locate that there are at least 3 hotspots where hashtag the kings these are hotspots of conversation where people are broadcasting the information. So you got 3 possible places right now that you think. One of them is near the top of the royal palace. Another is in the mercantile set of floors in medium space, basically the shopping district. I don't know if you guys have ever been, like, I know this exists in like Minneapolis and also in New York, like a central, like a downtown inside of a skyscraper mall. That's what I'm imagining is in like the middle part of the Royal Palace, but it's one of the sad malls where all of the franchises moved out and the lookalikes and the knockoffs moved in. And there are also several like no longer open. You know, they've papered over and said new store coming, but it's faded and old and it's been there for a really long time. Maybe not paper. Yeah, they're all sad malls now. That's a fair point. Cool. So mall area, mercantile district, upper floors, and then there's one right here, like right here on third floor. So what do you do, Moz?
Yeah, I will. I'll convey this to the others because I feel like they need to be updated on.
Do you just like squirt it straight into their brains?
No, I think I think I'll. Yeah, I think I'll do both. I'll speak it out loud, but I also like
Nice.
send over the locations for these hotspots. We'll go with G7's plan. We'll hit the closest one first and work our way up.
Okay.
Trydak, you're on point.
Yeah, you got it, boss. All right, let's let me go. Let me go scope this out. Yeah.
Doors open up. Drydeck steps out into the area. You see a couple of oh shoot, what are the rats? Tell me what the Star Wars rats are. God bless
Womp
them.
rats?
Womp rats?
Thank you. A couple
They're
of
just
womp rats scurry out of the way. I know, like I would have said wharf rats, and I'm like, no, it's a different W.
I believe a womp rat is quite large though, so if that thing's scurrying down the hall, like good gravy.
Yes, there's a womp rat that scurries down the hall. It's like, you know, what is it, like cat size? Aren't they like cat size?
I believe they're no bigger than 2 meters, so I think they get pretty juicy.
Okay, this is a particular splinter species of womp rats. They're called like, oh shoot, what would they call them? Like womp wawas. They're only like this big. They are not
Of
2
course.
meters. My God, really 2 meters? Oh, that's true. I guess Luke said it's like that's no bigger. Wow, I never even put those two together. But holy crap, that's a giant. No, these are like little womp rats that I'll look up in Star Wars later and say I should have used that name on Wikipedia. But yeah, you see that scurry out of the way, pushing some trash. There is some low music, thumping, and Garm. What is this moment? You see that this is a bunch of apartments where most of the doors are open. People are milling back and forth. There's that, like, it's not a corridor, right? It's just like a walking path that overlooks the middle atrium area. But maybe it's the music, maybe it's the smell. What does this remind you of, Garm? You Garm, not Drydag, or maybe Drydag. I don't know.
It reminds the sound I hear. It reminds me. It's a very popular song from 20 years ago. It's a style of music that's gone out of fashion, but Garm remembers that beat. He remembers listening to it. He kind of it gives him a pause, and the way it echoes through this open hallway reminds him of how it used to echo when he lived. Well, that couldn't be because he lived in a building like this. He's sure of it. He never thinks of it again. He pushes onward.
Nice. Push that aside. That's amazing. Sweet. D7, what are you doing? What do you want to do to try to find your quarry?
Yeah, so I've actually prepped some stuff for this, and I think I set up a drug deal with some of the residents on this floor. So we see D7 kind of shuffle out and walk around the corner, and we see a guy kind of step out of the shadows, and he's kind of all nervous and everything, and D7, Cinnamon says, are you the scum? I think they kind of shake their head, and I reach out and I have like a pad in my gloved hand and say payment, and they kind of hit a couple of buttons, and I hand them, some sticks, and they kind of scurry off. But I'm like, you know, I'm pumping them for information. So I think I'm going to say, you know, things like, you know, I hear this is the king's, you know, area. You know, we're not going to get hit here. You know, you better run off before the kings come, and see what I can get from them.
Awesome. Sounds like you're trying to manipulate somebody.
I think I am.
Let's see you roll your 2 dice.
Yeah. I got a 2 and a 4. I'm going to do a clock
Okay.
and roll an additional one and see if I can get that 6. But I did not.
You did not. All right. So that's your second tick. And this person that you have sold some death sticks to, named Ja says, "Oh, there's some kings around here, but they're up above. They only send people, runners down here. You know, mover sellers, but the people who run it, they're up."
So you should run. I'll be certain and go back to my master now, and I'm going to turn around and head back towards the service elevator, shuffling along.
Awesome. So as you start shuffling along, there are Maz, the Lasai king. So Lasai is an actual particular drug. That's their specialty. That's what they sell. That's how they make their most money. It is one of the most addictive and powerful drugs. It's procured from a mold that grows on the back of a lizard. And when you ingest it, it actually allows you to function without sleep for extended periods. And it is also, like, it's a psychotropic drug. So I think the Lasai Kings are predominantly Trandoshans. Does that feel right? How long have the Lasai Kings been around in this area?
I think, how long ago was it they put up this the archaeology building thing?
Oh, that's a great question. I want to say that the archaeology building went up before the Empire. Like, this has been.
It feels like a republic work.
Yeah.
Which means it would have been, you know, this city is, Sereno is one of the first separatist cities or separatist planets, right? Because it was ruled by Count Dooku. Everyone knows that, of course. So
that.
these are some old buildings.
Yeah.
Is it 100 years then, Cody, do you think? Or more like 50, 60?
I bet 100 years. I bet it's
awesome.
I mean, it's old enough to have completely fallen out of favor, and then, you know, have some use as somebody's moved in to try and revitalize the area and make some money. Yeah.
I think they showed up soon after the Empire took over, because I think it was like the Empire clamped down on the drug trade, which kind of the corporations had their figures in before, and that made room for the gangs to hone in on that.
Oh, nice. I like it. But as D7 is heading back to the God, what is that? Service elevator. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget again. Maz, you see a couple of Trandoshans come from the opposite direction, and they are trying to seem casual as they step in. They're like going to try to push their way into the service elevator with you. They are big Trandoshans, both of them nearly a couple meters tall. For us Americans, like over 6 feet. What do you do?
I think I just like put my my cyber arm, so it's this one, I think, like right in the chest of one of them, and it's like, this is corporate business. Wait for the next one.
Oh, I think it's his left arm.
Oh, I can't. Oh, right. Because
It's mirrored, yeah.
Yeah. I get all mixed
It's
up.
mirrored. Oh, the background picture is mirrored.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Now, I was just looking at the pic that you put on the character thing.
Yeah. And I was, oh no, that doesn't match.
That's awesome. Cool. Yeah, you come up, you put your hand on it. He pushes against, but that's a cybernetic arm. It's well braced. It's the kind of thing that you could put some serious harm on him. And his tongue licks out as he's sensing the air a little bit, and he says, maybe you should move on. Hmm? Not a good idea. Asking around for us.
Oh, you're
Maybe
the
you-
ones we're looking for. I think I'm gonna pull a gun, like pull my blaster out.
That's awesome. He's going to be actually pulling for a vibro knife of his own, and don't bring a gun to a knife fight. Wait, no, it goes the other way. All right, awesome. I'd like to see you engage enemies, and you seem to be, pretty damn good at this. So let's see how this
Yeah.
goes.
Cool. So I've got 3 dice in this. And let's see how that goes. 4. Which is
Let's see. You've got engaged enemies. You're rolling your 3 action that you have. Where's your 4th?
no, I rolled 3 dice. I got a 4.
Oh, sorry. You've already rolled dice. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
so on a
Yeah, I could have defined a cyber arm or something.
Yeah.
Taking part of this, I probably should.
You can do that.
Yeah. So I'll add another die.
Nice. I love it. Engaging the system's good stuff. We're going to take a break right after this fight. We'll take
And that die is a 6. So
Yes. Tell me what this looks like. How do you defeat this Trandoshan? He falls to you, or you get to determine the success. So tell me what happens.
Yeah. I think he goes for the knife. I kind of grab onto him, and like my elbow knocks the knife away. I push the other 2 out of the elevator, so the door closes. So it's just us and this guy. I push him down onto the floor, and I have like the blaster right up against the side of his head.
That's amazing. Sweet. Well, yeah. So you disarm that guy. You've got him on the ground, gun in his face. I want to see what Drydeck does, because look, there were more guys, right? So you've completely disarmed and disabled one guy. I think there's probably one Trandoshan. I just want to see Garmin a fight. So what do you do?
Yeah. I think like I push against the others, but the door hasn't fully closed yet.
I love it. Yes. Good.
Yeah, so Garm, he already had his scatter gun or blaster out and kind of leveled. He was just holding it, at his waist. And so this first Trandoshan's close to the vibro knife. Maz has him. He just wheels and kind of levels the blaster at the midsection of the Trandoshan. And he just says to him, I couldn't miss from this distance.
Oh, you're looking to manipulate him by intimidation?
That's right.
That
Maybe
sounds-
not even intimidation. It's just stating simple facts.
Love it. I love it. It turns out that you have 2 dice in that.
I sure do.
2 dice in everything. Do you have any kind of implant that helps you?
No, I don't think there's no, I don't think so. I mean,
I'm going to give you an extra die because his buddy just saw Maw's pants.
Okay.
The first dude who was their leader and their talker. So I'll give you an extra dice. 3 dice here.
All right. I rolled 2. Let me roll a third one just for funsies. Okay. So I'll take a 5.
Okay. Cool. I think. So that's mixed success. You do it, meaning he is cowed and intimidated. But I want to engage the system of harm. I think before you do that, he sucker punches you one time before you put the gun in his face, and you're going to take a level 1 harm. So harm is on the upper right hand part of the character sheet there. Yeah, in fact, it says sucker punch harm of 1. So I am working within the rules to give you that 1 harm. Cool. I stole that thing where you check a box and it changes words and puts a number counter on it from this guy named Andesh, who's really smart. I just stole that tech from him. It's great. Sweet. So you put the gun in his face, D7. You see that these Trandoshans, they must be, I don't know, were they listening in? Were they tipped off? But they showed up like right as soon as you made that deal and asked around about the Lasai Kings. So D7, you when you come back to meet up with your buddies, you see they've beaten down a few of the Trandoshans. What do you do? The fight is out of them, but I'm curious what your reaction is at this point.
Taking out the garbage, I see. Let's toss them down. I'm going to check them out and see if they have any connection to the kings, the Lasai kings. Specifically, like, do they have communicators? Do they have implants? Do they have something that we could hijack?
Excellent. That sounds like perhaps you are trying to work the net. Does that
good.
sound like what you're trying to do? Okay.
Yeah. And I'm going to take an implant, which would be the protocol droid interface
Okay.
into my brain. So I'll take a 4th die.
Good
Let's see what
luck.
that looks like.
Surely there will be a 6 here.
Oh, and there's a 6.
Sweet. You are able to see that these guys, they also have cyber brains, even though physically they don't, like, they have the Trandoshan. They look like they're not cybered at all. They actually have a bunch of cybernetic replacements with synth skin over top. Pretty expensive mods, but they are currently, they've been cyberjacked. So they were sent here, and the place they were sent from, because those 2 ticks will get you the 4th fill the clock. They are the Lasai King, whoever is controlling these guys, and the hub seems to be in the mercantile area, or the Sad Mall. So you guys know where the Lasai Kings are, and I think that is a great point for us to take our mid-game bio break. The service elevator opens, and the first thing that you guys hear echoing as it bounces throughout the Duracrete walls and stalls of this mall is the sounds of one of Kofuku's re-recorded hits. The Taylor Swift style, where she redid a hit, and I think this is one of her early songs. It's very bubblegum pop, or at least originally lyrics were super catchy, had a great hook. Kofuku's voice is undeniable in its perfection. And this is ostensibly just a slightly run-down knockoff trading center. You don't see a lot of kids here. There is a good amount of cyberware on display. The lights are a little dim, and most of the lights, the ambient light that comes down the main shaft, as this thing hugs it and hugs that main shaft, and is open to it. So this is kind of an open air market. You can actually catch the faint whiffs of a breeze from the outside, and there are pockets of Trandoshans here. It's one of the top 6 populations in Royal Palace, as they have a number of Trandoshans have immigrated here. So D7, what's your plan here? You guys know the Lasai Kings are here. You've got a bead on where their primary communications point is coming from. What do you want to do?
I think on the way up, we have an internal conversation between the 3 of us. And I'm going to engage with Maz because, if we're up to D7, we would sneak up and take him out. But I don't think that's really Drydak's way. I think Drydak would just want to bust in. So Maz, you know, let's see. I think that what we would want to do is come at them from a couple of different directions. And I will come from from the side. I'll kind of try and outflank them. Um, and I'll try to keep track of where their locations are through the system. Um, that they're not going around and that they're not getting around us and that kind of stuff. And I think that the other two would plan to just do kind of more of a frontal assault, just walk right up and take care of things.
D7, as you separate from your partners to try to infiltrate, you're keeping a bead on the connection. And then you hear a voice, someone broadcasting, how interesting. What exactly are you?
I want to explore through that area where that voice is coming from and trace back. I think I'll engage them and say, I'm unique, something you've never seen before. And, try and draw them in a little bit while I trace back where they're coming from.
Awesome. Are you trying to manipulate this person into revealing more information?
I think I'm
Or are you
trying
trying to
to.
act unseen?
Oh, so I was thinking I was working the net because I think this voice is coming
Ooh,
through the
it is.
cyberspace.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and I'm using manipulation as a distraction, um, to keep them engaged, to keep the line open. So which do you think is more important, my skills with the net or my ability to keep the line, to talk to them to keep
I
the line
think
open?
at this point, working the net seems initial first volley here of this conversation.
Fantastic. Let me roll that. I got a 6.
Ooh, nice. You're able to identify this as Boar's Oblon. You kind of trace back, and maybe you're familiar with some of his lines of code, or what is it? I mean, you get to tell me, what is it that helps you to recognize this is Boar's Oblon, the washed up slicer?
Yeah, so he's been around a long time, and I think the code language he uses is old. It has like an archaic. It's not like a script kiddie that you see these days, who just kind of flash bang and do things real quick. His is a little bit archaic.
Yeah, he programs in COBOL, kind of,
Exactly.
which makes him dangerous in a way that he's slow, but also he works off of a lot of the core language that everything else is based off of. So you say you're unique. Yeah, 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 unique. That's good. That's good. Why are you here? Are you here to get her back?
I'm here because she's unique too, and
Mm.
she's a fan, and I'm a fan of hers, and I think that um getting to meet her and see her would just be the best thing ever. Now this is manipulation.
It is. It is. It is. Yeah, let's see that.
Okay. So that's a
3 and a 3.
3.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to overclock or burn an implant? Or are you okay with that
I
mixed
think I'm okay
success?
with that. Yeah. For this manipulation, I think that makes sense.
D. Can I call you D?
Ooh. Yeah.
D. Maybe it's not good to meet your idols. Because she's not as unique as you think, not as unique as you. I think you should take your
Well,
2 buddies, turn around, and go.
and I think uh I hit the safety button, right? This is the immediately we've been made, lights up in the other two. And I'm like, well, I've come a long way just to meet her. Are you saying that she's not taking, any audiences, or, it's not worth it? I mean, you've met her. She's really interesting to you, right?
He chuckles. Turns out, no, I haven't. It's just a
That's
copy,
weird.
D. It's just a copy. They don't want you to know. But the real Kofuku's been gone.
No, that can't be true.
You tell your buddies to stand down, I'll show you the code.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell them to come to me. And I think I'll include them in the conversation, right? We have communicators. We've got a spinal implant.
Oh, totally. Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
you determine you're
Yep.
communicating. You have an extremely longer range to where, if you had a remote detonator and you threw someone off the top of a building, it would still broadcast on the way down, even if they were on slow-mo. It was the only part of Dread that I thought was a little hokey.
But I'll pull them into the conversation and make introductions. What should I call you?
Boris is fine.
Oh, well, Boris, this is my crew, and we should have a conversation. You were going to show us the code.
Awesome. So before you guys respond, I'm going to roll a d6. Because Boris has been
Steven,
trying.
you set us up to get body hacked. What are you doing?
No, actually, it may be that D7 has been body hacked and isn't actually engaging the two of you in conversation, but her memory is being played with. So we'll roll this D6 to see if it's really happening. So again, if I roll equal to or below, and you have a rig of 5, correct?
A rig of 4.
Oh, you have a rig of 4? Oh, I thought it was a 5. Okay, cool. No problem. That's great. It's good to know. Come on. Sweet. So what would Drydak, if engaged in this conversation, probably say as far as how Drydak interfaces with D7?
So D7's pulled us into a conversation.
D7 thinks she has engaged you into a conversation. She has been pulled into a simulacrum, a simulated experience. So how
but from Garm's point of view, he's being called.
Nope.
Or not.
Garm is not being called.
So
I'm asking you, Cody, the player, to give us an idea of how would Drydak respond to being brought into this conversation. You guys are about to be shot at. You guys meaning Drydak and Maz. But Boars has basically isolated D7 and is trying to hack her. And is allowing D7 to think she's communicating with Garm.
So I think what D7 would expect Garm to say is he'd come on, he'd, oh, why are we doing all this talking? We're here to get the thing. Yeah, I got the trigger's ready, D7. I'm gonna pull it. What are we talking about? And so Garm's putting up this resistance to being in a conversation right now.
Nice.
Which is what D7 would expect.
Cool. And in any moment, Stephen, D7 can resist, but that's the first little bit is you reach out to Garm to bring them into the conversation. You say, hey, by the way, I'm talking to Boris. He's saying Kofuku's fake, and he'll show me the code. And Drydak says, why are we doing all this talking? I got the guns. Let's just do this. And Maz is silent for some reason, but you get the connection. Maz heard you. Maz just hasn't responded quite yet. What do you do? As Boris says, I'll show you. You come to me. I can't go out. See. I'm working for the kings, but I'm not one of them. They're not going to let me just walk out, but you come in. I'll tell them that, you work for me. I'll show you the code. You can see the Kofuku's fake. She's gone. The real deal, gone.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna again step forward. I think I'm going to follow his directions and head towards him.
Cool. He's going to direct you like around the mall to come into a back way
Yeah.
to right where the hell he is because he thinks he's got you.
Yeah.
Cool. So we pop back out to Moz and Drydack, the two of you moving like, you're moving like water moccasins. Just making your way through the mall, clocking everything that's going on. And then there's a 2-level restaurant area that there are a few Trandoshans that come out with blaster carbines and they just start lighting you guys up like you didn't know that they had marked you, but like they boom, and I think you see a couple of laser lights because and maybe they don't want to shoot the regular people. Boo, and then brah, 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 brah. My voice mod is really screwy lately, so we'll just go brah brah brah, and pew pew. So, Drydeck, what do you do? You're being fired on.
Garm's gonna dive behind cover and begin changing his weapon out. He had that scattergun. It's not gonna work at this distance, so he's gonna take cover and start pulling out gear from his various pockets and body cavities.
Oh man, I wanted to do the quote from Ghost of the Shell where he's talking where Bateau is bitching about the guy using certain like high velocity ammo on a so dorky. It's like totally an RPG moment that was absolutely said by someone at a game at a table someday, but it's fine. All right, so I think you're engaging enemies though. Let's see you do that.
Love it. All right, so I'm engaging enemies. I have 2 in that, so just 2 die here. And so this is kind of abstracting a few things. So it's going to be ducking behind it and swapping weapons.
Yes,
so
would this be all that stuff in one exchange?
Would this be a moment where I'm using an implant?
You certainly could, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you could have wired reflexes level 1 if you want, buddy.
Where's wired reflexes? What does that mean? Is that a gear
Just make
thing?
it up and meet your fast.
Oh, okay.
It's a Shadowrun thing I stole. It's not fun.
Right.
It's a dorky little thing.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's Garm has wired reflexes level 1, obviously, but it's also it auto activates. It's not something Garm has any choice of. It's whether or not he gets the signal from HQ that it's like, cool, they're cleared to use it, and then it like a toggle's flipped on in a dark room somewhere, and there's a little picture of Garm, awesome. And it goes from red to green to orange, and that's that.
That's awesome. I love that. You get permission. That's great. Cool. So that gives you another die to engage enemies. You're rolling 3 dice.
All right, cool.
Good luck, because they mean you harm.
They sure do, don't they?
They do.
6.
Ooh,
that's what happens,
snap.
baby.
Oh, baby. That is awesome. You tell me what happens here. So there are 4 bogeys at this point. A couple up on the upper terrace, like dining over the rest of the populous area. They came up and they've got a little bit of cover from the Duracrete guard rail thingies.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are a couple guys that are mixed in with a bunch of other people. So any errant hits is going to be taking out regular civilians.
Cool. So Garm dives behind a Duracrete stall, pulls his scattergun across his lap, reaches down to his thigh, and a pocket kind of opens up and an attachment comes out for his scattergun, and he starts threading it on the top. The barrels kind of it starts out kind of widened, and then they collapse into one larger barrel as he creates just like a large gun. And he yells across to Maz. He says, "They drew first blood! They drew first blood!" And then he's gonna flip over the edge of the thing and start and fire, in rapid fire. Not any sort of great shots, but laying down intense covering fire. But I think he fully, the first Trandoshan isn't expecting the big gun that he pulls out, and it blasts him right in the chest.
Nice. Whoa, sends him back. Boom, he splats on the ground. You see blood with bits of oil coming out of his chest. A little bit of thing. So Maz, you just Drydeck screaming out, "They drew first blood," even though Drydeck didn't get hit. But he's still
I got
screaming.
Hit before. I got sucker punched. They're
That's
done.
Right. There you go. They're done. They're all dead. That's the rules. What do you wish to do, Maz? D7s can't be found anywhere.
I mean, with Drydack laying down this heavy fire, I'm going to try to flank them. Sneak around, running from cover to cover to get to a flanking position.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, you do that thing. Like you just trying to avoid harm. I think you're engaging enemies regardless. Like that's a pretty
Oh,
broad maneuver. So let's have you engage
okay.
enemies, which you're kind of an expert at.
Yeah, I got my 3 dice. I'll just roll those. Get a 6.
Nice.
We're good at
Cool.
our jobs. This is weird.
This is amazing. This is unlike any Force of the Dark game ever where people roll sixes. I love it. So tell me then, what does that look like as you successfully cut through the crowd?
I think because I assume there's kind of chaos here when all this fire, all this
Oh, yeah.
shooting starts.
These guys are
Uh,
not indiscriminate, but also not as good as you. So there's a couple people running away, have gotten plugged with some blaster shots. Things are exploding. I think whatever dry deck hid behind was maybe like a huge planter, and it got ting 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 and nearly blown up before dry deck came up with the BFG.
mhm, mhm. So I think I'm heavily relying on Drydack just like holding their attention, if nothing else.
Hmm.
Uh, so I'm kind of running through the crowd and using whatever cover I can find, like a pillar or something like that, until I can get to a flanking position. And once I'm there, I think I. How many of them were there roughly?
4, and now there's 3 left.
Okay, okay. So I think I shoot one of them, just like take him out, and then think, ooh, do we offer the others the opportunity to surrender? Yeah, I I think actually I think I just shoot one of them. One of them turns towards me and fires a couple of shots, so I take him down, and then like the last one has the choice of to surrender or no.
Okay, cool, cool. I like that. Awesome. So yeah, you turn on the one guy, and we're on tenterhooks. Does he survive? Does he surrender? What's going on here? We cut to D7. You enter into brief pause. Has anyone seen the brief anime Serial Experiments Lane? If you haven't, you really should. It's like from the 90s, and it predicted a lot of crazy cyber culture, and totally should have been an influence for this about identity and like what's real. But there's this super cool moment where this girl has built this like idol of computers, and I've seen it referenced in multiple movies since. But when you come in D7 to this back area, you see the layout. Uh, it's a small, like, supply closet, but there are all of these flat screens that are in an array, like a tower of screens, and some of them are camera feeds to the outside. And for a flicker of a moment, you see Drydack with this big honking gun, which I think is this kind of like oh shit gun, like the thing he whips out when he's really trying to kill the things. But it flickers away, and you see, boom, it's covered over, it's papered over. It's like, oh, just regular mall traffic kind of thing. And then there's all these lines of code, and sitting in that, basking in the glow of all the like blues and reds and greens coming from the monitors, is this emaciated human male with white hair and scraggly beard. He hasn't taken care of himself. Like, it's obvious he doesn't eat enough. Um, Around his eyes, they're a little bloodshot. He probably takes Lasai, the drug that the Lasai Kings are known for, that allows you to forego sleep. And he's got in front of him like this little case, and inside it is like a cyber brain, and it's softly glowing like a neon green. And he turns and he looks at you and he says, D, come in, come take a look. Close the door. Close the door.
So I think I step inside, but I think that two things click at the same time. I saw that glimmer of the oh shit gun, and Moz hasn't said anything in a long time, and Moz
Mm-mm.
is usually, giving good orders and good advice, and I think I'm going to now try to resist, but my intention is to resist without Boars knowing.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So I think a mixed success is that he notices that you're uh, breaking away. A 6 means that he still thinks he has you.
Perfect. Perfect.
Cool. So resist harm or danger is what you're doing.
And what do I roll for that?
I think there's a resist harm or danger action. Huh.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah.
can
Okay.
resist it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Sorry, you're not good at it.
No, that's fine. I like being not good. So I think I'm going to add in I'm not sure if this is an implant or not. Of course it's an implant. I'm used to being given orders and being lied to, being manipulated. This is something that the cartel did often so that I would be a supplicant servant.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of the implant is I know what that feels like. Yeah. So I'm going to add an additional die and roll 2. I got a 3 and a 1.
Ooh, okay. So the first thing that clues you in, besides the evidence that you had, but really clues you in, is the smell. You realize that there was that your olfactory senses were overridden, and when you push past that, you smell like this guy has a catheter in so he can stay hooked in without ever having to leave. And there's just a very obvious smell of human waste in here. Old sweat, like old dried sweat, clothing that needs to be washed. And then you see clearly, okay, yeah, Drydax in the middle of a fight. There's Maz. He's got a guy. It's this Trandoshan going to surrender. You see that Trandoshan hold up his hands, and then his head explodes. Don't worry, we'll get to that in a minute, guys. And you see Boars. He is legitimately holding a cyber brain, but his eyes widen for a second. It was so much better. What I was sharing was so much better. But I'm not lying. Kovaku's
Well,
gone, probably
it's hard,
dead.
it's hard to tell what the truth is whenever you're being shoved in cartoons into your brain. So we had to know what the truth was.
Do you dream?
Dream.
Who dreams? The person you was before, or the droid they are now?
I'm working my way towards it. I've had small dreams. I don't remember dreaming. I know that. What does this have to do with Kovaku? And I kind of reach out my hand towards the pulsing brain.
Cool. He's a little hesitant now that he knows that you've broken out of his little ensnarement, but he says, "We stole the brain. See, they're working for another corporation trying to embarrass Kitsune. Once it comes out that Kofuku's not real, that she's just a replicant, well, Kitsune's in deep poodoo."
Why does it matter whether she's a replicant or she's, still human, or why does it matter? You matter.
Looks. You matter to me, D. But that doesn't sell.
Kofuku doesn't matter to you?
She did. This is just a copy. She hasn't made a real song since she went away. Kitsune won't make any credits off of this now.
So all that's important to you is money? And why do you think this isn't a real song? I mean, a real song is something that's created, and this was created.
It was created before, but now she's just doing karaoke. And
I
then
think. Oh
when
yeah,
you
go ahead.
look at the cyber brain, you can see a lot of the pulses coming off of it. And yeah, you realize there's more information you could gather from this brain if you got your hands on it.
I think that this brain has the same. I think that what's left of Kovaku has the same growth path that all of us do. It will learn, and it will learn to create, and it will learn to. Um, the music will come back. It might be different, but it'll still be Kovaku.
Ooh, nice. I think you're trying to manipulate him to believe in this.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Maybe you're trying to manipulate him to believe that you could be real too. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let me roll that.
All right.
I got a 3 and a 1. I'm gonna overclock because this is really important to me, and I'm gonna add an additional d6 and see what that looks like. Still a 3,
Okay.
so I got a 3.
Okay. So you convince him that there is that possibility. But I think what also happens is that the two of you have been conversing, a mix between communication through the net and also out loud. And the door is shoved open, and a pair of very cybered up Trandoshans come in, and they're like, "Who are you?" And one of them's gonna reach and just grab you, like he says, "Who are you?" as he's grabbing for your face. We cut back outside to the fight in the mall. Maz, you had this one guy. You see that this guy isn't nearly as cybered up. He's younger, like you can tell from his skin. He hasn't molted nearly as much. Uh, he puts his little clawed hands up for a moment, and then his head jerks, and a implanted bomb goes off. I don't think Drydack is close enough. Unfortunately, there were people who were hiding who were nearby. They're toast. But Maz, you have 2 harm coming your way. Do you wish to resist that?
Yeah, that would be nice. So is this resist harm or danger?
It is. You're really good at that.
Yeah, I
Stout.
think I'm going to bring in. We could have 3 implants, right?
You can.
Yeah, I'm going to move in my 3rd here. I think this is like danger warning thing that kind of takes over my reflexes when there's
My cyber sense is tingling.
Yeah. Now it's definitely called cyber sense. Yeah, so I roll 4 dice. That's a 5. What does that mean here for a resistance roll?
That is a great question. Let us consult the Book of Armaments. What is resisting harm? So it says in the little thing, resist harm or succumb to it. You are resisting 2. So I think a mixed success is that you still take 1 harm. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, I'm going to block, if only because we're close to the end of the session.
Yeah.
So I'm rolling 1 more die. That's a 3. So yeah, I take the 1.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you get them whirling. Maybe you do the like dramatic jump type thing, and the explosion hits, and you get singed and burned, and it's just 1 harm. So it hurts a lot. I think you get burned. Maybe your shirt comes off, and we see like some cool like chest and like ab muscle kind of. We have a little moment, a little Little beefcake action there. Sounds good. Sweet. Drydack, you see that explosion, and after that explosion, you hear the hum, and there is a speeder that is coming down from above real fast. What do you do?
I think as the explosion goes off, Drydak's visor glasses go opaque so that you cannot see what's happening behind them, which is that his eyes have opened up like blossoms, and they've gone, you know, a big grid of red sensors, as somewhere off in another dark room a second switch is flipped, and
I want to
Zerker
meet this
mode
girl
is
who's tilting all
engaged.
your toggles. It's great.
Yeah. And so he hears this hum, he turns, and it's just like it's on. He's scanned right onto the speeder, and he's openly just firing nonstop at that. Drydak has no longer has no control over what he's doing. So I'm going to engage enemies. That's 2. That this implant is the 3rd, and I think I'm gonna overclock as well to 4.
Amazing. And I think one of the things, like the sound of this blaster, all the cybernetics clicking on, but the like bed of sound is still Kofuku song being piped in through the speakers.
Love it. All right, on 4 dice, I get a 6.
Nice. And I think the lyrics are, "You're the sugar in my tea, the cherry on my ice cream sundae. With you, life's a candy-colored dream." And that 6 is amazing. So what does that look like as this armored speeder comes down the central shaft?
Yeah, so it looks like not unlike the Candy Dreams, Garm's visor, a sweet candy red, as he fires up into above him, targeting the engines on the speeder. It's armored. It's of a class that his weapon can't handle, but the right shot in the right place can do something. And I think it hits an engine, it explodes, and causes the speeder to spin out and
Oh
crash
hell yeah!
into
Like
a floor
blaster
of the
cannons going out and it's taking
yeah.
out pieces of. Oh, I love it. Oh, that's just carnage. That's so good. That's so good. And then it slams into a floor like 10 floors down. It just slams into the walkway and then whoa falls down. And there's a bit of fire that like flickers up from it. I love it. That's amazing. Moz. You do not see any enemy combatants right this second. Uh, what is it that you want to do? Dee did not help you in this battle. You're not sure where she is. Sorry, I caught
Yeah,
you as you took a bite. I apologize.
no, that's fine. And I'll try to contact Dee because I don't think we know where Dee is right now, right?
No, she's really good at not being known where she is. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm trying to contact her, and Dee, we get hit by an ambush. There's we're in a hot zone here. Where are you at?
And you hear that, Dee, as a Trandoshan is like slamming your face into a Duracrete wall. I'm gonna remove this Karkin. He's trying to rip off the top of your head.
So, I think that whenever he reaches out and grabs a hold of that head, I think so. The action that I want to do is I want to take him over. Right, he's all cybered up.
You want to cyberjock? Oh, that's
So
awesome.
I think that what we see is on that little panel that's around the top, in the middle of her head, there's like one of those droid ports like we see on R2 or something like that, and it comes out and it jams into his arm, right?
Oh, that's wicked.
Yeah, so I'm going to add that as gear.
Sounds amazing.
I'm going to add it as a forceful interface.
That's our first gear. I love it.
Oh, nice. Good. So that's work the net, is that right?
Yes, that feels absolutely like what you're doing. Trying to
Yeah.
brain check somebody else. I love it.
See what that looks like. That's 2 6s.
Critical success. What does that look like?
I think what it looks like is he grabs a hold of my head and he starts, we see this on camera. He starts bashing my face into the wall. What he doesn't realize is this is actually his buddy that he's grabbed.
Oh, I
Like
love it.
the views kind of shifts and he's bashing his buddy's face into the wall. Um, and I kind of lean over to Boars and grab the cyber brain and say, come with me if you want to live.
Oh, nice.
And I think what Moz hears is like this hold music, this really awful, like it's sort of like the Muzak version of some of Kovaku songs, like playing. It's like boo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Candy colored dreams. Sweet. Yeah, Boris looks at you. He looks over at those guys. He realizes the gig is up, and he starts trying to like disconnect his little catheter and everything. And then he starts to stand up, and he falls down. Like his pins and needles. Oh God, he can't walk.
Oh, so I grab him by the scruff and I start dragging him out, and I think that's what they see is me coming from around the corner dragging a body, an emaciated body. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So Maz, Drydak, you guys cleared this. There's this smoke all around from the destruction that's gone on. People, whoever could have run away, has run away. There are a number of dead folks here, and through the smoke, you see D7 is dragging some emaciated guy and has a. You close the case, I would assume, right? So you either have it under your shoulder, or you're just holding it by the handle up. You're carrying a case. Moss, what do you do?
D7, you got the package.
I kind of raise my arm,
Good. Dryback, get us a path out of here.
And Boris communicates.
Going to Delta.
Boris communicates to you, D7. Oh, this is good. Yeah, keep dragging me away. Really good idea. So, Drydak, you've been told to lead them away. What's your plan here?
I think Drydak, he's leading. So we're on, a certain floor, but we're not on the ground floor. So he's going to lead to the service
You're
elevator.
On the 52nd floor. Yeah.
Yeah. So his plan is to lead to the service elevator. Eyes is down on the ground floor. The visors de-opaque. You can see the eyes again. They're normal-ish eyes. Or you got it, Moz. You follow me. We're going to floor 3, get in the lift, and he presses a button to go down to floor 3, not the ground floor. We're gonna make a little bit of a jump.
Cool. So the other two, as well as Boars, you guys huddle into the service elevator. Sweet. You go down a couple of floors, and then everything locks, and you hear over a little speaker, this is the Royal Palace Guard Security. I'm sorry that we need to apprehend you for several MDKs occurring on floor 52 in the mercantile session. Please, if you could, lay down your weapons, and we will send someone quickly to apprehend you and bring you to detention.
MDKs? We just got the guy. Moz, what are you talking about?
I don't know. D7, can you override the elevator and get us down?
Sure. So I think I'm going to try to override the elevator. What this looks like is I think there's like a panel there on the side of the elevator, and I'm going to pick up Boar's face and kind of show it to the panel. So it's like that's the override. I'm assuming he has better access than I do. And I'll try and, also work around some of the other cyber eyes. And I'm like, as a backup, Drydak, you should cut the cable. So let's see what this looks like.
I will give you an extra die because Boars is helping.
Helping? Okay, yeah, sure. And this is work the net?
Yeah, totally. It's work the net.
I
think
5.
Eyes at this point is like aware and just, hey, I'm ready to go. All you guys need to do is get out or give me a place to go, and I'll pick you up.
So I got a 5.
Oh, sweet. I think what happens is that you get a little bit of ice, some intelligence countermeasures that come in that will hit you for 1 harm. You can. Oh no, it's a little bit like it's 2 harm. Like it's got to. Let's have a little more harm on that table. Two
Oh, yeah.
harm, and you can try to resist it if you want.
I'll try to resist one of those. That's just 1 die for me. So let's see what that looks like.
Ooh, good luck. You can clock if you fail.
I got a 5.
Cool.
So
That'll drop it down to a mix, so you would take him 1 harm. Ooh, you're messed up.
at 1 harm, I think we start to see some of the lights on the side start to spark.
Nice. Yeah. A little bit of ice countermeasures, but then the elevator starts moving again. You guys come down to the 3rd floor. Drydak, you get a ping that there are security forces outside, and the your monitor advises you to avoid combat if possible.
Yeah. Okay. I think Garm, steps out of the lift, sees the forces across the way, looks down at
Yeah,
this.
a bunch of royal guards are like running, and they've got a
Right.
bunch of like stun guns and an ion cannon as well. They're gonna say there's like a half dozen of them.
Okay. He looks down, confused, kind of bewildered at this giant gun in his hands, and flips a switch on the side to stun. And he's gonna fire at them. We're gonna go out this way. We're gonna go back and get through a window. Maz, lead the way. D7, hold on him. And fire stun blasts down.
That sounds awesome. You're engaging enemies, but you're not really engaging to kill. You're engaging to lay down cover fire and help your buddies get out. But I still think it falls within the action of engaging enemies. Let's have you do that and see how it goes.
All right. Okay, I got a 3 and a 5. Yeah, I'll take the 5. That works.
Nice. So you will live with the 5, which means I think they are going to fire back, and it's effectively stun harm. So you can resist it to try to shake off the stun. If you fail to resist, then you are dropped and you're down for a little bit. And if you get a mixed result, I think you can pour it in by pushing your systems, which means you take a harm. So seem like a cool set of results.
Yeah, I'd like to resist. So I'm going to roll two die for the resist. And then I would also like to trigger an existing implant to help this, if I might explain. I think as soon as the shots land, that Zerker mode switch gets flipped back. Yeah.
That's awesome. Love it. Zerker mode engaged.
And I'm going to overclock as well.
Oh, sweet. That's 4 dice. Oh,
yeah.
Man, I hope you perfectly resist this. It's going to be so cool.
Nope. 4 is the best I get.
All right, so whoop, and you end up taking a harm by overclocking and pushing your systems. Things start to burn out. Maybe a couple of like blood vessels pop. We have the weird like inside the internal body camera thing. So, and your heart rate goes, and we go back to that control room. It's just like, oh, he's spiking. I'll try to. He's trying to like dial down a couple of things to keep you from having cardiac arrest. Meanwhile, Boar says, hey, maybe the cyber dilf can carry me? My legs are still pretty messed up.
And I think I say to Boars, I think that Maz has more I think Slinger has more things to do than carry your dead weight. I'm better off just carrying you around. Maybe you should be quiet now. Let us try and get you out of here.
Got it. Sweet. So Garm is holding off these enemies. Maz, what are you doing?
I'm contacting our driver and say, we have a high altitude egress from level 3. Window, whatever. I'll give like a coordinate, basically telling her we're going to be jumping out of this window. Catch us.
I says, I clock you. I'm on my way. I've got eyes on you. she can't not make an eyes joke. So boom, the armored speeder like goes and she does this weird like skitter thing, and then spins out and starts heading up the building, engaging different types of uh, grav inducer or grab hold on the thing. She's going to come up. Maz, give me one last. I think this will be our last move. What action do you think you're engaging to get everybody the hell out of here?
I don't know. It's either resist harm or danger or act unseen. I think one of
I like
those.
resist harm or danger. It
Cool.
feels like that's what you guys are trying to do is get out of there without getting hit anymore.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Garm is like laying down the law on these road
Yeah.
of one guy gets thrown back. Whoa.
I'll throw in a clock here even before the roll, and that's a 6.
Nice. What does this look like as you guys exfiltrate from the royal palace arcology?
I think like Garm is laying down cover fire. Me and D7 are doing this like jumping behind or staggered move behind various covers, and like I'm firing off a shot every now and then just to help with the cover. I blast out the window so that we can get out.
Yeah, I think
And then
I
like
imagine you guys are in like a little WeWork area where there's a bunch of cubicles that people could work in, but it's mostly shut down. You bust out the windows and the armored speeder comes out. I love that.
So I
yeah, yeah.
imagine Moz. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think like the speeder, because we have this like van door, so I think it like tilts to the side so that we kind of jump down into through
I love it.
through the
Oh,
door.
that's so cool.
I think Maz shoots out the window. We're kind of going up staggered, and Maz shoots out the window, and I turn around and jump out. But in midair, I twist and catch Boar's, kind of cushioning him and Kovaku's, container, so that I land in the truck, and yeah.
Nice. And then Drydak, you're the last one out. What does your exfiltration look like?
I think Drydak is running backwards, firing, and then just all of a sudden there's no wall behind him, and he falls backwards out, and just his head clangs the top of the van.
Oh.
The rest of him falls inward. His gun falls out into the street. He's unconscious.
Nice. And then we pop back to the command room. The girl pushes back. Yes, yes, yes. Because you lived. Sweet. Van door closes down, zips and starts heading straight down, and she does another eyes does another kick where boom, and it switches the engagement, and boom, you guys are driving away as we like this is it. That's the end of the mission. But Drydak, in your unconscious state, I think you experience that memory that you suspect isn't real. What is it?
The memory Drydak suspects isn't real. It's of his joy with the holovids. It's him sitting in a very warm, comfortable living room with a holo projector, and he's just sitting there watching these vids just forever, it feels like. And there's this warm glow of blue holo light on his face, and he just feels so at peace. It feels like such joy to sit and watch this. And if there was ever a time in his life he was loved, it was this. But he doesn't think he ever lived in a house like that. And he never really got this close to seeing them. The sound it's so much better than where he remembered listening to it from the alley. That's not right. No, this is right. This is right. He was in this home and he watched these videos and he had a good life.
Nice. Moz, as you're working with D to double check to make sure that this cyber brain is the correct target, you discover that the housing for the target um, is a person, and that their body, their meat body, is not Kofuku. Um, how is it that you recognize that it's your sister?
So what is it? I because I don't have a good visual sense of
Sure.
the Steam.
So I'm imagining that the cyber brain is something that can be like locked into a
Yeah.
person, and as you're returning the cyber brain, the guy who's the shady boyfriend is among the folks that are there in their receiving area. He's a little bit back talking to a few subordinates, and they've modified some of her to make her look more like Kofuku, but there's something about, you just get the sense this is.
Yeah. I don't think that it's about her appearance. I think it's when she like when the brain is back and she engages or
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
activates. I think she does some little gesture that I recognize my sister doing, like when she was because we like shared a room when we were children,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and there was something like a way she would push her hair out of her face when she was just waking up in the morning, and this body does that exact same gesture.
Nice. Yes, yes. Uh yeah, good, good. And I think that's our stinger at the end, is Maz's realization that uh the that she's been here since she disappeared. Is there any last tag scenes for D7? Because we got our answer on Dry Deck. I got my little stinger with Maz. Is there any like epilogue stuff for D7, Stephen, that you had in mind?
I do. I think that what we see is her going into the Kitsune headquarters, and she goes back to her handler. I think we see the young command room girl for Drydak kind of off in the corner. She comes out of the office as I go in. Um, I go in and toss down a report, a pad that shows successful, and I think the person behind the desk kind of says, "Good job, Atera. Your first name was Atera."
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So asking the group, does Boars make it out of this, or is this his last run? Does he end up working for Kitsune as a script kiddie, or does someone uh, pull him out later on? What do we think happens to Boars?
Think he gets recruited, and like I think we see some like corporate guy with well, he wouldn't have a clipboard, but like a data pad,
Yeah, for
and say,
sure.
yes, we have an opening for a cybersecurity coder in Unit D7. Yes, his skills are a bit not quite up to date, but we can fix that.
Nice. Nice. Cool. Before we move to like stars, does anyone have any last epilogues for the character? I just don't want to cut it off. If you had a cool thing you wanted to, or if you're happy, then we will bring it to the story to a close. Cody, anything for Dry Deck or
I'm
Garm?
good.
Okay. And Andesh for Maz, anything else?
Yeah, I know this is kind of stacking things on top of things, but I think we see Moz on his way home, and he's living in this little, like a tiny little apartment. Uh,
Like Fifth
and
Element apartment, you know?
yeah,
I love those. I love
exactly.
that.
Uh, and just as he's we see first we see him out in the corridor, then we see in the inside of the apartment, and just as he's opening the door, we see the niece flickering into existence because she's a fake memory. That's just
Oh,
how they're
snap.
controlling him to keep him there.
That is wicked. Woo! Chef's kiss. That was great. That was great. I love how much you guys leaned into the themes and the tropes of this particular genre of cyberpunk. Let's do a quick round of stars as we bring this to a close. Who'd like to go first and throw out some stars?
I'd like to go first, but I have a couple of questions that would be sort of like wishes.
Okay.
One is they're all about the system. When do clocks normally refresh?
At the beginning of a mission.
Oh, okay, great. So clocking was interesting. Being powerful at the very beginning of a Forged in the Dark game was interesting.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no
It-
advancement system that I saw in this, so it
Yeah.
kind of makes sense that if you're going to play badasses like Ghost in the Shell, then you should probably start as badasses, otherwise you'll never get there. Sorry,
Well,
I cut you off.
No, you're exactly right. And the inverse of, and if you roll poorly or if the GM rolls well, they could take you over, is completely interesting because that's a big deal. It's just as powerful on the GM side that horrible things could happen as well as you do really powerful things. Yeah. The only other thing that I wanted to mention was that I kept wanting to reach out and help.
I would have liked
because
to
we're a
help.
team,
Yeah.
and I think if I were to run this, I would say I would hack it so that you can spend a clock to add a
I
die
think
to
that's a
someone else.
great suggestion. And if I run this again, I'm going to hack that in as well.
But here's the thing, in a cyberpunk world where everyone's out for themselves, can you ever truly help anyone else?
You're not wrong. Like in the genre, help rules don't fit per se, but in our play style, it is nice to be able to help. I think it allows for more collaboration, allows for us being engaged in each other's stories. But you're not wrong. Like I could see the person who wrote Broken Binary going, I specifically choose not to have helping rules because it doesn't fit.
Yeah, either if we're part of a team, I'd like to see helping rules. If we're all out for ourselves, I'd like to see PvP rules. How can I get better? How can I get better results than the other team members? Yeah.
Cool. Those are really cool thoughts. I dig it.
That was it. So
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask the questions before we started with stars.
Yeah. Did you have any stars to throw?
Yeah, actually. So, as is usual, I want to see more of these characters. I really liked Drydak's command room girl sending things.
Yes.
And I'm like, she should have a name. I want to see her, all excited about like being able to punch things up. So I had to bring her in my epilogue. And I like how badass everyone was. I liked Maz, making sure everybody got out, taking command, doing all that kind of stuff. And Rich for just picking out a game like this and saying, let's try this, and having all the cyberpunk, the peach tree, all the pictures, all the, setup. I know that you've had some of these people like Kovaku and everything, and some of the gangs from this planet already established, but it all fit really well. It was really nice.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I got really excited when I'm like, ooh, I'm going to do it about Kofuku. I don't know why I have a hang up on Kofuku and the whole, like, she escaped in a previous game. Kofuku escaped Karani City, but then showed up again. And I'm like, oh, this is the answer. It's not really Kofuku. And people had that suspicion. So thank you for allowing me to have my silliness.
I like the picture for Kovaku that you have as well.
Me too. I grabbed that off a Pinterest board a few years ago now at this point, and I just thought it was fascinating. It looks very K-pop cyberpunk to me, and I dig that.
Yep.
Cool. Andesh or Cody, do you guys have some stars? Oh, yes, buddy.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I think this worked really well as a one-shot. I was worried that it was going to feel rushed and forced, but it didn't. It was we had time enough to do the cool things. I also like that everyone leaned into the themes of the game. I this thing with spending clock after you rolled, I think that's really smart, because one of the things that slows down Forged in the Dark games is all the hunting for dice before you make a roll. And here it was like you could do the roll, and if you got a 1 or a 2, then it was easy to spend the clock, because 3 plus you're succeeding, that's worth it. If you got a 3 to 5, it was just like, yeah, it's really important, I want to push for a 6, or otherwise you just didn't do it. So it was an easier choice, instead of like, should I spend some stress to gain an extra die? I'm not sure if it's worth it. Here was easy choices.
It went so much
sped things up.
faster.
So that was really good.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was a really smart tweak.
Yeah, I also loved the control room girl and D7 doing the whole hacking the Trandoshan, and Steven going with being hacked. I like that as well.
Yes, I very much appreciate that, Stephen. I realized as soon as I read that rule, I'm like, oh my God, I would normally stay very far away from that mechanic. But the fact that it was a one shot, and the fact that you can resist it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this thing, but then I'm going to make it clear very quickly so people can resist or just buy in. And I love your reaction to it, and I super appreciate that.
To me, that mechanic was the balance point of us being very powerful.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
Yeah.
Cool. Cody, anything left?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes. Stars, Steven, I gave you a star immediately. Before the game even kicked off, because I was like, wow, immediately the most tragic character I've ever heard of in my life. And you're just coming in so hard. And that was just like the start of the game. And then as the game goes on, Anders, you hit it too, especially popping in at the end. This whole, like, first of all, the defining the habit of the sister, that like, that's such a great visual cue of like, no, it's not like a specific thing, it's the way a behavior happens that Maz recognizes. And then there's the additional layer, and it's just like, whoa, this is so brutal. I love that. And Rich, when combat popped off, the description of the song lyrics along with it was like so good, so genius.
Yay!
And I love the callbacks to all the anime vibe references for Cyberpunk. I'm a big fan of Cyberpunk anime, and so hearing that kind of stuff, like, oh, it's kind of similar to this, or it looks like this, or it's this, it was a really, really awesome thing. And that's I guess the big wish that then turns into, or the big star that goes into a wish. It's or if this was roses and thorns, the roses that our characters are all so good. The thorn is we cannot make simple characters to save our lives, and so I can't play one session with D7 and Maz and Garm. I need to see a campaign of them losing it all or breaking free. It's just it's great stuff.
This was really great. I kind of want 2 sessions now that I've seen this. I'm like, God, if we could have, but I also feel like this was pretty much if I were to say, ask me what's a perfect one shot, is with you guys and telling a story as tight as this. I really appreciate how well you guys threw yourselves into it. Your characters were wonderful. I really love the payoff for I challenge you to give us this memory. I challenge you to, and everything you guys answered with was just so very good. This was delightful. I really, really enjoyed it. And with that, we'll go ahead and bring things to a close. Thank you all so much for playing, and anybody for watching.